mid-spin class, lights are low, the music's loud, and I go to turn on my lights and I completely shut down my entire laptop. So the room goes silent and all my riders are just kind of in a daze. They don't really know what's going on. And then I hear a little bit of a heckle from the back telling me to sing for them, which I didn't do because I don't have a good enough voice for that. But I did my makeshift little rap for them and until I could get my laptop back on. So yeah, things don't always run according to plan, but it's about making do with what you have. So it always ends up being fun regardless of those little things that happen.
Welcome. This is Uncommon Sense, a CPA podcast presented by the Haskayne CPA Knowledge Centre. The centre is an initiative of the CPA Education Foundation, the charitable arm of the chartered professional accountant profession in Alberta. For the record, this CPA podcast isn't about bean counting. Our episodes feature conversations with Alberta CPAs sharing their insights on a wide range of timely topics.
Hello, I'm Jessica DeGroot with the CPA Education Foundation. Our guest on this episode is someone who is well known and, well, maybe even a bit famous at the foundation. She is Sydney Eyre, a Calgary-based CPA who, during her time as an accounting student at the University of Calgary's Haskayne School of Business, a few years ago distinguished herself by earning an unprecedented 4 scholarships from the foundation. Sydney's impressive record of academic achievement, volunteerism, and commitment to her education all contributed to the high level of recognition that she achieved from the foundation. Since graduation, Sydney has completed the CPA Professional Education Program, as well as the practical experience requirements for the CPA designation. She officially received her designations in the fall of 2024 and now serves as Assurance Compliance Manager at Ernst and Young in Calgary. Sydney is here to talk about her career path and her experiences as an accounting student and to share her insights on life as a young CPA. Welcome, Sydney.
Thanks so much, Jessica, for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. So let's start, just to kind of jump things off, let's start about talking about your new position at Ernst and Young as an Assurance Compliance Manager. Congratulations, by the way. What are your primary duties in this role?
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to have transferred over. I started my career at EY in the audit practice for 3 years, and I just recently moved over to our assurance learning team as a compliance manager. So I would say my main responsibilities in my new role are just ensuring that everyone in the practice across Canada has the proper learning experience that they need to be able to work on various types of engagements. Whether this is a regulatory requirement or a firm-specific requirement, my team ensures that everyone has compliance across the board and is properly accredited. We love to make sure that all of our professionals in the practice are competent in whatever work that they're doing. And then we also have a really big aim in helping foster a culture of excitement around these learning opportunities as well.
That's great. Do you find that overall your primary duties and responsibilities have changed a lot since you've gotten your designation?
I think there's just an added level of knowledge that you get when you have your designation, and I'm able to make sure that I'm balancing kind of my project management side, which I've definitely become more of a leader since getting my designation, I've noticed, and whether that's, a personal feeling, whether that's it changes in the role itself. I took on a lot of these similar tasks as kind of being a senior, being a leader before my designation, but it just revamps it a lot when you get your designation, I believe. Mm-hmm. I know that there's a lot of room to grow and there's lots of space to fill kind of in the future. So I do expect more responsibilities to come as I'm, a couple further years into my designation. But for now, definitely that added confidence boost of having it has really changed my role.
Absolutely, I can see. And I'm sure just officially completing it and getting your designation just, makes it feel like a weight off your shoulders and does give you that extra confidence.
Absolutely. I got through CPA, I got through the practical. I know that I can do anything. So whatever whatever throws my way or whatever tasks or role I have, I know that I'm able to do it.
Mm-hmm. So when did you first know that you wanted to be a CPA and why did you choose that career path?
Yeah, absolutely. So in high school, we would have these career sessions or career days where our school brought in a variety of professionals and they would talk to us about their careers, what they do. So it just gave us an idea about what we wanted to do after we graduated. And we actually had a couple CPAs come in. One was a public accountant and a forensic accountant. And immediately I saw, okay, like, you know, the CPA profession already can lead to two very distinct paths, even though it's the same designation. So that was really intriguing to me. I initially always thought I wanted to go into medicine or science or something along those lines. But after my first bio class in high school, I immediately knew that it wasn't for me. I was too squeamish. That was not going to be my life. And then I met these CPAs and I was really interested in what they did. They spoke about how there's so many opportunities in the field and you can really do whatever you want to do with the designation. It gives you a lot of skills and you can use it whatever space you end up in. And then also I knew I loved numbers and having that mix of, you know, freedom to pursue kind of wherever you want to be as well as a career revolving around numbers. I was definitely eager to know more about the profession.
Mm-hmm. Did you always know that you wanted to be like in audit specifically?
No, I don't think I really knew what audit was the first while kind of researching CPA and the accounting profession. You know, I had a baseline knowledge of what accounting was. I think what I saw the most was actually tax, and that's what I first initially thought of in CPA. I was under the impression that it was mostly tax work. I made the same comments as everyone about tax season, if a CPA can do my taxes, and then quickly came to realize that that's not all CPAs and there's a bunch of different paths. And then it wasn't until recruiting in university that I really got to know what audit was, what assurance was. And then that's kind of where it led my path there. And it was a really great introduction into the field. And, you know, you get a lot of learning in a quick amount of time. So yeah, definitely didn't know that audit was where I wanted to be, but quickly learned that it was a really good option to start my career in.
Yeah. Speaking for myself too, I can think back to my high school days and I don't think I thought accountants or CPAs did anything other than tax, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah, that's definitely the first thing that came to my mind.
So you told us off the air that in 2019, you took part in an exchange program and you spent some time studying in Scotland. What was that experience like for you?
My study abroad time in Scotland was definitely one of the best experiences of my life, for sure. Two reasons actually led me to wanting to pursue a study abroad program in university. So the first was I did a French exchange program in the summer of my grade 8 year, I believe, going into grade 9. So I spent a summer in France with my host family and then or a month in France with my host family. And then my partner came back with me to Canada and spent a month here. So we did a summer together and it was, you know, really intimidating but rewarding experience for me. And then second, I was a very shy and reserved person in high school. I didn't really do anything outside of my comfort zone. I would go to class, go home. So I knew in university I really wanted to branch out and I wanted to become more confident. So I saw the study abroad programs that U of C offered, and I knew that that was definitely something that I wanted to do. I have a passion for travel and experiencing new cultures. So I initially wanted to go to England because I have family that hails from there, but I landed on Aberdeen, the University of Aberdeen, and it looks like straight out of a fairy tale. It's a big castle. I love Harry Potter too, so it was a dream for me. I thought, well, this is my place. I definitely want to go here, and I want to try out this university. So, yeah, ultimately, it was a really great experience. I met a lot of great people. I've stayed connected with everyone, so I have friends around the globe right now, which is amazing. I took super cool classes that aren't offered here. And then also traveling on my own taught me how to be comfortable by myself, how to make new friends and meet new people, and then also how to deal with stress and unforeseen circumstances, like when I lost my debit card or I bought the wrong train ticket. You know, things go wrong. So learning how to deal with that.
Yeah. And I guess with the CPA designation being so versatile and transferable, like all around the world, do you think that would ever be something that you would take advantage of?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is still my goal. I want to do a secondment with work. I think that's a really big reason why I chose EY as well as a global firm, that there's so many travel opportunities you can take, whether it's, a short-term work rotation or a longer-term secondment abroad. So it's definitely something that I'm interested in. I have lots of colleagues, whether they're from EY or another firm, that have gone on secondment, and it sounds like an awesome experience. So that's 100% something that I plan to do in the near future.
Yeah, that'd be so exciting. And it's just so nice to hear that you've got those learning opportunities from when you were in high school and university through traveling. I think it can totally teach you so much. I want to talk a little bit more about your experience as a student. I know that when you were a student, you were a team member on some very successful case competition teams. And so how were those case competition experiences valuable to you?
Yeah, so I did lots of case competitions. I ended up starting off with some smaller internal ones in my first year of university. I actually did one with EY, which is great. I kind of got an introduction to the firm that way. And then in my second year, I joined JDC West on the HR team. From there, I got to compete in some bigger name competitions as well. And I even placed first at the Ted Rogers Ethical Leadership Case Competition in Toronto, which was a super awesome experience. It was my first time traveling for a case competition. So that was really amazing. And then, like I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest goals I had leaving high school was to branch out, do something scary, step outside of my comfort zone, because I really thought it would, make me more confident and potentially bring me more opportunities. And that is absolutely what competing in these case competitions did. JDC West especially, you don't have a lot of time to prep. You're limited time, so you don't have a script. You don't plan out all the questions you might see. So you're really thinking on your feet. So I think I gained those valuable skills of quick problem solving, decision making. I honed my my presentation skills as well. And then I also got to work with a lot of great people in my university that I don't think I would have otherwise gotten to meet because they weren't in my classes. They might have been in a different stream of business. So I got to meet them, I got to work with them, stay connected. So yeah, I definitely would encourage anyone with a sprinkle of curiosity to join those case competitions. Plus, when you win, you feel on top of the world, which is an awesome feeling as well.
For sure. So I'm just thinking of how you're describing yourself. You're an early university student or in high school, early university, and you're saying that you're shy, you're not confident, and then you end up dedicating some of your time to mentoring younger students. So you've obviously developed some confidence and you were able to share that with others. So what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So in my first year of university, I actually was a mentee, and I had a mentor in her third or fourth year of university. And it was a really awesome experience for me. I was pretty intimidated coming into university as a first year student. It's big. There's a lot of people. Don't really know what's going on. And she was really awesome. She actually was on JDC West, and so she told me about the case competition team, which was how I first heard about it. And then she also just told me about all the other opportunities there were at the school, and it prompted me to look into other opportunities that I might want to join, other clubs I might want to join. I was part of multiple clubs within Haskayne, so it was really beneficial for me, and I knew that when the time came that I wanted to have the same impact on younger students coming in like she did for me. So yeah, I think those mentorship programs, they really get people started off on the right path and allow them to get everything out of their university experience to the fullest and set them off with a little bit more confidence. They're not quite as scared, or they have an idea of what they want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I wish I would have known about any sort of clubs and programs, or had really pushed myself to get involved when I was in university, because I didn't actually find out about them really until I started working with students at CPA Alberta. And we always encourage them, go join a student club or join a case competition team, or find a professor that's a mentor so that you can become aware of all of these opportunities, because everyone really just wants you to succeed.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I agree. I would have had no idea about half of these offerings that the university has, and they have so many. But I feel like it's really word of mouth, these mentorship programs, or talking to your friends, or even, reading the newsletters, which a lot of people don't do, so which is a little bit harder too. But going to the bulletin board, seeing what's open, just like having that mindset going into it. But yeah, when these mentorship programs are available, definitely jumping on them, because word of mouth is so huge in playing a role in what opportunities you learn about and what you want to do. And that can really build your university career or your work career as well, because lots of firms and lots of workplaces have kind of extracurricular activities as well.
For sure. Yeah, you have to put yourself out there, start networking, and get your name out there. What did you find when you were doing the mentoring? What were some of the most common questions that your student mentees asked you about, whether it was related to the CPA program or to anything else?
Yeah, I think, the biggest questions coming through for students in their first year is mostly about, how to schedule classes, what opportunities there are, what clubs I've joined. So I go directly into kind of my experience with university life. And then they also ask about, scholarship opportunities, funding. I mention the CPA Education Foundation, of course, and then other opportunities that they can look at for funding their university experience as well. So those are some big questions I got. And then at the time of being a mentor, I was also a campus ambassador for the audit practice at EY. So I did get a lot of questions about the recruiting process, what courses were needed to pursue a CPA designation, and what it was like interning at a Big Four.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that's the fact that some of the firms do offer those positions, or it just allows it to be a little bit more approachable to the students. You don't have to talk to somebody, at a career fair who's in HR. You can talk to one of your peers about it, which is really helpful, I would think.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a difference between talking to someone at your same level about their experience as compared to, going to these recruiting events. Obviously, we're all friendly and we love to chat about our experiences. But I agree, like when I was in university, I definitely found comfort in chatting with my peers about their experiences, because it's honest, it's true, and it's where you would be, right? Especially for that internship or that co-op position.
Yeah. What would you say was your main kind of takeaway that you had from your experience as a student mentor in terms of your own personal and career growth?
Yeah, absolutely. Mentoring younger students was a really enriching experience for me, and I obviously think it had a big impact on my personal and my career growth. I think the biggest thing I've noticed, especially as I transitioned into more of a senior role within the firm, is that my mentoring experience really equipped me with the ability to guide and support my staff. I work with a lot of juniors, and especially now as a manager, I have a lot of seniors and staff below me as well, and they look up to me and my project management as well. So I really learned how to communicate with everyone and understand their perspectives. And I think the most important thing is it allows you to put yourself back in their shoes. We were all in the same position at the start. I've been through that. I've been there. So just recalling my own journey is really important. Mm-hmm. Step into their shoes, and then you can help them. Like, what did I want to know when I was in your shoes, when I was in your position? And then having those memories and knowledge from that mentorship program allows me to be able to recall that going forward in my position as well. So it just is a level of empathy and insight that really allowed me to foster that supportive culture within my team as well.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I think it's so important to be able to have that type of self-reflection and think. I often think too when I'm going through hard times, remember what this feels like, and then to my future self, so that you can help somebody and remember what would be valuable for them at the time, because I think we often lose sight of that, and then we think we're helping, but we're really not.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially in audit too, it's easy to forget where you started and what knowledge you would have found really useful when you start. And I think that goes for any position in any profession as well. It's just remembering what would have been useful for your younger self. Absolutely.
Yeah. So speaking of mentorship, and you kind of mentioned previously that you were part of the ambassador program for EY, but you also participated in your firm's buddy program. So what is that program, and what was it like for you to participate in that?
Yeah, so we have a very similar program to a university mentorship program at EY. We can register for our buddy program, and we would be partnered with about 1 to 3 students that are wanting to pursue their accounting degree and ultimately their CPA designation and work at EY. So at this point, a lot of the questions turn around to be about the CPA designation process, what it's like to work and study at the same time, what the work-life balance is like. So it's a really rewarding experience as well, getting to chat with students interested in working with you at the firm and getting to learn more about the culture as well.
Yeah, that's great. So I want to kind of transition the conversation. We talked a lot about your student experience and mentorship, but I want to talk about something that's really fun. I love spin class, and you are heavily involved in spin cycling. So how did your interest in spin come about?
We had a spin studio open up near my house when I was about 14 or 15 years old, and I immediately went to go try out a class. I did play basketball growing up, and that was kind of my sport. But other than that, I wasn't really involved in other sports or fitness or anything like that. The gym by myself wasn't my happy place. So when this came up, the spin studio, I was excited to try it. And I quickly found that group fitness was my place, and that's where I found happiness. But it wasn't actually until I returned from my study abroad, I had that new sense of confidence when I came back, and I decided that I wanted to be up on the podium and I wanted to be the person motivating other people's days just like they did for me for so many years. And so when I got home, I took the spin training, and then I was up on the podium, and it's been my second home ever since.
Yeah. I also couldn't imagine being a spin motivator. I think it would be a lot harder than it looks, but maybe just for the audience, what is a motivator and how does one earn that title?
For sure. So I'm a motivator at YYC Cycle here in Calgary, and I've been teaching at this studio since about September 2020. So we like to use the term motivator instead of instructor, and this just places an emphasis on the fact that we're here to, ignite your energy and uplift you rather than instruct you. We're here to motivate everyone that walks in the room and just make sure that no matter what way they felt walking in, that they're going to leave feeling even better. And so that's our goal as a motivator. It's just one of the things I love about my studio. It's a little change in terminology. Some people might not really notice it, but it does remind me that every time I get on the podium, that I'm there to brighten someone's day. And honestly, in turn, my day's usually brightened. It's always brightened at the end of it. So I always leave in a better mood than I ended with, or than I started with.
Yeah. Are you an early morning spinner, or are you later in the day?
I actually used to teach mornings. Pretty much up until recently. I just dropped my 6 a.m. class, but I was always a morning person. I taught the 5:30 a.m. class, 6, 7, 7:30. And it wasn't just till recently that I started teaching some evening classes. So I'm switching a little bit over to the evening, but I used to be a morning for sure.
Yeah, I used to go in the mornings too. And it's like, I think some people have a hard time imagining, like, how could you get into that environment and with the music and everything so early in the morning, but you do just leave very energized, and it's such a good start to the day.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'll never get easier waking up, I think, for me at least personally.
Totally.
But it's when I get there and I'm doing it, it feels good, and I know that I'll always feel better afterwards. And honestly, the lights really hype me up. They bring me energy. So maybe that's what I need. Maybe that's just a little bit weird compared to some people in the mornings. But, if you're not really a morning person, because I'm not really a morning person, but I do love a morning workout. So maybe try it.
Yeah. Well, and at least when you're waking up looking forward to what you're doing, it does make it a little bit easier. But part of I think what makes it so hard about it is getting to bed on time. I know here right now, like the Oilers are in the playoffs, and it's like every other day there's a game at 7:30. And I always have this internal debate, like, okay, like, am I going to go to bed in the second period, or am I going to stay up and not work out in the morning? And it's just like every time it's a debate, and it's so hard to get up, I find, if you don't go to bed on time.
Oh, it's absolutely so hard. And, that's another reason why being a motivator for me, I have to go.
True.
If I teach at 6 a.m., doesn't matter what time I go to bed. So it gets me up at least. But I agree, like, if I'm just going to class, it's really important to get that sleep and then, feel good, because you'll feel good for a little bit, but then you'll crash halfway through your day if you don't get enough sleep. So that's definitely important. Sleep is number one always.
And from your perspective, why is it important for any professional to stay physically active outside of work? What are the benefits?
I think this goes for everyone, no matter what profession you're in, but especially from my experience in audit, we have busy seasons. We can work some really long days. And so before I even started an audit, I was nervous about maintaining my health during those times. I don't know about you, but when I'm stressed and I'm busy, I'm skipping the gym and I'm ordering junk food. Health is the first thing to slip for me. So it's really taken a lot of changing my mindset to avoid falling into that trap. Motivating has really been a life changer for me to keep myself active and healthy. But there's so many benefits for professionals to stay active outside of work. It's a stress reducer for me now. If I'm feeling overwhelmed, I find going to a spin class or going to an exercise class, doing something physical, it balances me and it reduces that stress. It keeps me grounded. And it also boosts your energy levels throughout the day and increases your productivity. Ultimately, in your audit busy season, that's always needed. So I think there's so many benefits from being physically active outside of work and just giving yourself that space for something else.
And you mentioned that you have to go when you are teaching the class as a motivator. After a busy day at the office, do you often find it hard to motivate yourself to get to go? Like, do you kind of have to play motivator for yourself, or is it something that you just really look forward to in order to relieve the day's stress?
I like the way you put that. I do motivate myself. I have the little base skill in the back of my mind being like, you know what, you can tell other people that it's important to go, so you can tell yourself that it's important to go. Obviously, we all have days that are hard, but I find that especially with spin and those group fitness classes that you have friends and, you can ask some of your other friends to join as well. And it always makes it easier to go with people. And that will, I think, forever, whether it's the gym or a class, when you have other people there, it's easier to go. It's a little bit of a social interaction outside of work that in a different manner, and I really love that. So yeah, I do motivate myself. Some days are harder than others, but I do look forward to it. It's a little bit of a release after a stressful day as well.
So I want to talk a little bit more before we kind of wrap things up here about your scholarship success with the CPA Education Foundation. So when you were a university student, you were the recipient of 4 awards from the foundation. And how did these awards help you to really achieve your career goals?
Yes, I am so grateful to have been the recipient of these awards. I really wouldn't have had the opportunity to be a part of so many wonderful extracurriculars in my university life if it wasn't for the support of these scholarships. They allowed me to join JDC West, and they allowed me to go on my study abroad, which, built so many skills for myself and allowed me to pursue my dreams. And ultimately, they allowed me to build the connections that gave me an opportunity to intern with EY. And that's where I got my designation and where I still am today. So, I owe it all to these awards getting me to where I wanted to be.
I'm sure not all. It sounds like you did do a fair bit of work on your own, but we love to hear about how any award gives students an opportunity that they might not have otherwise had. So that is really fantastic to hear. How did you first find out about the foundation and the awards that we offer for the students?
Yeah, so I go back to our career days in high school, and the CPAs that came in to chat with us actually mentioned the foundation and the awards, and they gave insight not only to what the profession could look like, but how they could help us in getting there. So from there, when I have something in my head, I'm eager to do more research and look into it. So I went and I did a lot of research online about the various scholarship opportunities. And then when I got into university, I set out into the application process. And I found that it was a little bit of a circle. It was a great circle. The scholarships allowed me to, pursue these extracurriculars that I wanted to with that reduced financial burden. And then in turn, that gave me more opportunities to allow me to excel and then get granted with more opportunities for these awards. So it was a fantastic circle and one that I will forever remain appreciative and grateful for. They really did set me on the path of pursuing my dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we hear so often is, a student may be struggling financially and then they get an award. It helps to relieve their financial burden. And then maybe they can focus a little bit more on their studies, which will in turn allow them to get a better position potentially, or allow them to maybe even quit their job or get a little bit more accounting specific experience, whereas before they were working in maybe like a retail job or something. So it does provide so many opportunities, and we just love to hear those stories.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did have a part-time job throughout university as well, but it was in the accounting field, and these awards really helped me be able to, like you mentioned, have work, and also I had very reduced hours, obviously, to be able to focus on school, my classes, and my extracurriculars. And it more so just allowed me to get the experience rather than requiring it and needing it for that financial aspect of university, because it is an expensive, journey, and the extracurriculars, they cost money. So being able to give someone an opportunity here to really focus on their university career and maybe get some experience outside of that is a fabulous thing that the awards offer.
Mm-hmm. So in general, do you have any comments on how the awards, such as those offered by the CPA Education Foundation, can help students succeed? I know we've kind of talked about some of them, but is there anything else that comes to mind for you?
Yeah, for sure. I think everyone walks a different path in life, and for one person, the awards might just mean reduced financial burden just to go to their classes. For another person, it means that it gives them an opportunity to join some extracurriculars and join events and teams they otherwise might not have had the opportunity to do. And then I also think there's a non-financial perspective as well that there has a benefit to, and that's just the networking opportunities that come with receiving these awards. You get to meet and learn about great people in the profession, meet like-minded individuals, and you never know where that can take you. And then I always go back to the confidence piece, but the awards definitely instill a confidence in the recipients. It gave me a confidence that I'm never going to take for granted, and it really pushed me to be the best version of myself as well.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything particular about the CPA, about being a CPA, that has surprised you, or something about the profession that you didn't really expect?
Yeah, so I think I have my learning cap on a little bit with my new role, but a couple things that really surprised me. The first was the actual CPA program, going through the education. I was really scared and it was daunting to go into that first module, but I was really pleasantly surprised at how tailored the learning is to real life. University teaches you the foundation understanding of accounting, very important, but CPA really allowed me to put the knowledge to use in my real life and my job. I would use the lessons I learned in my program and actually use them in my day-to-day job, which I found great and very useful. So I think they did a really amazing job programming this so that it's useful for your day-to-day. And then now as well, I'm also surprised, since getting my designation, about all the learning opportunities that there are available for CPAs. I knew that we had to do learning to maintain the designation, but I didn't really, know too much in depth about what that looked like. There's so many opportunities, whether it's hosted through your firm or your workplace. EY has a ton of learning available for everyone in the practice. And then also through CPA itself, I get a lot of information about different events that they run and different workshops, about honestly anything that you're interested in. So it really allows you to stay up to date and engaged and learn something new that interests you or piques your interest, which is something really exciting that I saw.
Yeah.
We have a really big focus on AI at our firm right now. So that's kind of been my area of interest, and that's where I'm diving into for my learning right now.
That's great. Yeah, there's so many opportunities to learn in all different areas, but AI is certainly one that is on the forefront right now. What did you learn specifically about yourself? Is there anything that you can think of through the rigorous educational and training process to become a CPA?
Yeah, it's not easy. There's many hard days, whether it's in the education piece or if it's getting your practical experience. I really wouldn't change anything, though. I think it was exactly where I needed to be and what I needed to do. I'm beyond proud of myself for obtaining the designation and, for putting in the work and seeing it through. I think life gets tough. It can get tough and things can get in the way. I've had a lot of ups and downs throughout my 3 years of pursuing my designation, but I always know, pick yourself up and keep pushing forward and it will be worth it. So I learned and I built a tenacity, and I think that's going to stay with me for forever in whatever role I end up in. And I'm also really grateful to my work experience. I got to learn a lot in a short amount of time, and I met some really awesome people. And I'm just overall excited to see what opportunities are available and where my future is going to take me.
Yeah, I love that. Well said. I think that's a really good spot to conclude our conversation today. So thank you so much, Sydney, for taking the time to be a guest on Uncommon Sense. The CPA Education Foundation is so proud to have had a tiny little bit of involvement in your notable success. And so it's really been a pleasure to meet you and have this opportunity to learn more about you. All the best in the future.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
By the way, listeners, if you would like more information on the many financial awards offered by the CPA Education Foundation, please check out our website at cpaalberta.ca/foundation. There you can learn more about our awards for high school students, post-secondary students, and CPA candidates.
The Uncommon Sense podcast is presented by the CPA Education Foundation and funded by the Haskayne CPA Knowledge Center. The Knowledge Center was created through a generous donation to the CPA Education Foundation by the late Brian Haskayne. Brian was a distinguished Albertan, business leader, CPA, educator, and community builder. His generosity and commitment to education underpinned his good works across Alberta throughout his lifetime. We would like to acknowledge that the CPA Education Foundation offices are situated on the traditional Treaty 6 and Treaty 7 territories and Métis Nation homeland. The Foundation acknowledges that we reside on traditional and ancestral territories of many Indigenous, First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. Their histories and culture influence our community to this day. The CPA Education Foundation is committed to helping build a province where Indigenous people and their voices and experiences are heard, valued, respected, and celebrated. Technical and recording services for this podcast provided by Wolf Willow Studios in Edmonton. If you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to like, subscribe, and tell your friends about us. If you have any comments on the podcast, write to us at cpaef@cpaalberta.ca. To learn more about the CPA Education Foundation and the Haskayne CPA Knowledge Center, visit cpaalberta.ca/foundation. Thanks for listening.